Welcome back, everyone. I had the opportunity to go to the Windup Watch Fair in San Francisco this year, and I wanted to share my experience on what I thought about it, the watches I saw, the people I got to meet, and what I thought about the overall experience. Before I hop into it, if you could please like and subscribe, that would really help to support the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. So jumping right in, the Windup Watch Fair was 3 days long. It spanned from Friday all the way to Sunday. I went for 2 of those days, and I went with a friend of mine. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about different brands, about different watches, and got to speak with a lot of interesting people as well. We went to check out Studio Underdog. We checked out Christopher Ward, Accutron, Paen, Brew, William Wood. I mean, the list goes on, and I'll get to them. It was just quite an experience. I think overall, the venue and everything was pretty good. It wasn't overcrowded, and there was a lot of space for people to move around. Also, the people that attended the fair, it was a very nice crowd. Everyone was very friendly. Everyone seemed very eager to talk about either the watches on their wrist or their collection or the different brands that were coming. And I learned quite a bit from other people. It was a lot of fun. I haven't had a lot of experience with micro brands. It's really my friend who's into micro brands, and he introduced me to a few. One of the reasons that we wanted to go the first day was because of Studio Underdog, actually. They just released a pizza watch. So there's 2 variants, the pepperoni pizza and the Hawaiian, and we wanted the pizza watch. We wanted to be there when it opened, so we hurried over to Studio Underdog, hoping to buy the pizza watch, but it turned out that their shipment got stuck in customs, so they gave out codes that would allow us to go and order the pizza watch online. They also had codes that would allow people to order from their 1 series or their 2 series. I thought that was a lot of fun. Once we got our codes, we ended up placing our orders right there because we wanted to make sure that we got them. For me, I got the pepperoni pizza watch and the Stephanie Blue watch. Once we were done there, we went and checked out Christopher Ward. We got to see the new pieces. We got to see the new 12X. That's the skeletonized Christopher Ward 12. We also got to see the Moon Phase watch. And the Moon Phase watch was actually really cool. I did like how it looked. The skeleton, it was nice. It was interesting. I think maybe because I already have a titanium 12, it didn't impress me as much, but I definitely think it is a cool looking watch. It's very interesting that they exposed the SH21 movement, the same one that's inside my C63 Sealander. It was very cool to be able to see what the movement looks like without the dial in the way. We spent some time chatting with them. This is where I met the designer that fought for color of the C63 Blue Marine edition. It's very cool to hear about these kinds of stories and what went into making these watches. While I was at the Christopher Ward booth, I did express my grievance that I'm still waiting for my Belcanto, and actually I got news that it just got delayed again. It's a bummer, but it is what it is. They did give me a hat though, so now I have a Christopher Ward cap. A brand that my friend was very interested in was Paen, so we went over there to go check them out. I will say that their new release, it looks very interesting. It's a lot of fun, and I believe the designer is based out of San Jose, which is pretty cool. I can appreciate the watch, not my style, so we moved on. Actually, one thing is they do have wall clocks, and I'm a little interested in their wall clock, so I may pick one up in the future. We'll see about that one. Another brand my friend showed me was Anordain. We got to look at some of their pieces. Again, this isn't really my style. However, their dials are very, very interesting, very intricate. The amount of detail and finishing is pretty amazing. The enamel and the process and how they make the dials was very interesting to hear as well. If I remember correctly, they layer the enamel and it actually becomes uneven, and then they smooth out the dial. And even though the dial is smooth, it has that textured look, and so it looks three-dimensional. It doesn't look flat, but when you run your finger across the dial, it is flat. That was very enlightening to learn about the process of how they make their dials. They definitely are passionate about their watches and their dials and the process of how they make them. So it's very fun. Another booth that we stopped by was Delugs. I got to meet Ken and Paen, super fun people, very nice, very passionate about their business. One thing I learned about their customer service is that they actually said that they're setting a goal for their customer service to be responsive. I believe they said within 15 minutes, 24/7, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. They're based out of Singapore. The quality on their straps is very good. I really like the style of their clasps, how it's like a double butterfly, and it snaps open, snaps shut. I ended up picking up a strap for my C63 and I love it. It gives it a summer feel, and I will be picking up some more as well. It was pretty cool to meet Ken as well. He actually put the strap on my Christopher Ward, and seeing someone who's on YouTube all the time and getting to meet him in person was a lot of fun. We also stopped by Space One, got to see their new piece, which actually tracks the Earth's alignment with the moon and the sun. So basically for a year, it will show you where the Earth and the sun and the moon align, which is pretty fascinating, to be honest. Not my cup of tea in terms of the watch that I want. I think one of my favorite brands that I ended up talking to and I bought a piece from was Brew Watches. The founder, John, is a great guy. He was super easy to talk to. He loved talking about watches, and he was very open about sharing his inspiration about his watch and how he got into making watches and why his watches look the way they do. Also got to meet Greg, who's his cameraman, does I think a lot of the social media and stuff. It was really fun chatting with them. We actually spent quite a bit of time with them. Another brand that we stopped by, this was a piece that we both were interested in, was the Accutron DNA Casino. They released 4 color variants. These are limited editions as well. They only made 100 of each of these colors. I think Accutron watches are just fascinating and how they work with their electrostatic movements. How essentially you never have to service these watches. They will never die. They are able to conserve their energy, and based off of your movement, it'll get charged up again. And basically these watches will last forever. The salesperson, Richard, he also talked about the pieces and how he wears one himself, and he's pretty much beaten up his piece quite a bit over the years, and he's had 0 issues with it. I mean, of course, he's selling the watch, take things with a grain of salt, but he was a super nice guy. He seemed very passionate about the brand, about the pieces, and it was a lot of fun. Funny enough, the piece that we both wanted was the orange piece. When I asked Richard, they only had one left, but they were in touch with an AD that actually had another one as well. So in the end, both me and my friend were able to pick one up. Another brand that we stopped by was Minas. This is a Japanese brand that has super high finishing on their pieces, I guess akin to Grand Seiko. Their design language and styling, really not for me, but I can appreciate the work and the uniqueness of their pieces. I do think the pieces that have the windows on the side that let you see through the side of the watch is actually an interesting concept, and it was very fun to look at and handle and see. Of course, we stopped by GShock and we checked out some of the pieces there. My friend ended up picking up a couple. I didn't get any new G-Shocks, but there was a anniversary piece that is super hard to find. I tried it on, not my cup of tea, but you know, I could see why people liked it. We went to William Wood. I wasn't able to catch this on video. I think my camera died at that point, so it's a little bit of a bummer that I wasn't able to capture my conversations with the founder. Johnny and his wife run William Wood. It is named after his grandfather, who was a firefighter. And so the heritage, the story is awesome. They make their straps out of recycled fire hoses from around the world. I did end up picking up a couple. So that was another brand that I was able to learn about and added to my collection. Another piece that I had been curious about since last year was the Kermit watch from Orus. And they actually had one at the fair, and I was able to finally see one in person and handle it. It was an interesting piece. I wanted to play with it a little bit more, play with the date wheel, but the sales lady actually kind of yelled at me and said to not change the date wheel. A little bit of a bummer. You know, we're there to handle the watches and play with them and experience them. And if I'm being honest, it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And so because of that day, I definitely didn't pick up any pieces because I was not a fan of her approach. It is what it is. I think a lot of the watch buying and the fair is about the experience, right? And it's just a shame that happened. And maybe I'm overreacting to it, but it's how I perceived it. And if the encounter leaves a bad taste in my mouth, it's something that I'm going to remember, and it's something that I'm going to associate with the brand. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. I also had a chance to check out Doxa. I don't have any Doxa watches in my collection, but I was able to try on several pieces. It's a very interesting design. Their styling is also very unique. I mean, their premise is around dive watches. Their original watch is in the color orange because supposedly that is the easiest color to see when you're underwater. So cool pieces. I didn't absolutely love any of the pieces that I tried on. Not to say that they're not good watches or that I didn't like any of them. It's just none of them really jumped at me. But it was fun to check out those watches nonetheless. I think I covered all the brands that we spent some time with. All in all, this was a really great experience. I loved meeting most of the people there. Getting to meet some of the founders of the companies, of the brands, was a lot of fun as well. You know, they're just another person like you and me. We're just watch nerds that are passionate about watches, and talking about them is just a lot of fun. I didn't run into a single person that came off as entitled, that didn't want to talk to you, that acted like they were better than you. These were people that truly were passionate about the hobby of watch collecting and watchmaking. I absolutely loved this event. I would love to attend again, maybe even attend one in another city as well. I have loved the adventure of watch collecting so far. I am excited for what the future holds. I also want to thank you all for walking down memory lane with me for the Windup Watch Fair and listening to me go over my thought process and going through the watches that I saw and the people I met. If you like this sort of thing, please let me know. I would love to share more experiences. Maybe I'll push myself to go check out more of these sort of get-togethers or watch fairs and share my experiences with you all. Thanks again for stopping by, and I will see you next time.